Welcome back for more of my views from Town with Bruce. Now, today I'm going to follow up on my video about the Emmys that I did with ABC when I was in lovely Hollywood. And it wasn't but a few weeks later that I got a call from the office asking if I could fill in for somebody who was sick on Barney Miller. Now, shows like Barney, Soap, that were done on the ABC lot, they had a permanent group of pages assigned to them like production assistants that were with them through the whole season, right? That was just their job. That was all they did. And they worked that show throughout. And that was like one of the things you really, really wanted to try to do was get a show, because that was like golden, man. That was like lots of hours, guaranteed there. And it gave you an opportunity to really get to know some of the people in the production company and maybe, make a few contacts and, try to find a way out. So, absolutely. I'll be there in 5 seconds, I hustle my ass down to the Barney stage and, my entire goal is to just bust my ass and do anything and everything that is needed by any of the pages before any other page has a chance to do anything. I am going to bust my butt all day long. And I do. And I make it obvious that I'm doing this. I mean, there's no two ways about it. And Eddie Dugan, who was the stage manager at the time, and it was Richard Thomas, who was John Boy, now that it comes to mind, from the Emmys video. Sorry about that. Just popped into my head. I should have known that. But, I'm old, I'm dying, you have to forgive me. So at any rate, Eddie Dugan, early on in the morning, dubs me brown noser. And I did not take it as an insult. I took it with pride. Absolutely I'm a brown noser. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not hiding it. I want to get a leg up here. I'm trying to do my best. And I just kept going. So anytime somebody needed something, you would hear Eddie Dugan just yell, "Brown noser!" And pew, there I was. What do you need? Somebody needs to be let in out the gate. Somebody, needs their car pickup. Somebody needs this. Somebody needs that. Whatever it was, I took care of it. Right? Now, this was a closed set. Barney was one of the very few shows at that time that did not tape before a live audience. It was a closed set. So it was just the crew, and the cast. So, no other interactions. So, I'm doing this all day long. And eventually, I am asked to do something that requires me to take something over to Noam Pitlick, the director. Right? And he's sitting in his chair next to Gary Shaw, the associate producer. So, I whip it right over. I get it to him. Here you go, blah, blah, blah. Noam looks up and looks at me. He says, "Wait a minute. I know you. You're the guy that got me my wife at the Emmys." I said, "Yes, sir, I am." And he was, again, very thankful. I was like, "Hey, no problem. That's what I do, part of my job. Happy to do it. Glad it all worked out, Didn't think another thing of it. Kept at it. Doing my thing. Busting my butt all day long. And day ends. I go home. That night, I get a call. Gary Shaw, associate producer of Barney Miller, has requested that you be assigned full-time to the Barney show. Whoa, man. Now, I don't know to this day who the guy was or girl who was sick that I replaced and ended up getting bumped off the show. I have no idea who that was. Probably a good thing that I don't. But, I kind of feel bad about that on one hand, but then again, I don't feel bad at all. It was, something I needed to do. And so I got to spend the rest of that season working on the Barney show. And that was an absolute delight and led to so many other little things that occurred and opportunities that came forward that would never have happened before. And, I will say, most of the cast, were kind of distant to us, except for Ron Carey, the guy who played Levitt, and he was always very nice to us, would come and sit and chat with us, this and that. And the guest stars, the guys who played like Ray the Bum or Lieutenant Scanlon from Internal Affairs, those guys, they were always very nice to us. They would come and chit chat and say hi and so forth and so on. The only person in the crew really that we engaged with was Eddie Dugan, the stage manager for the most part, occasionally Gary Shaw, the associate producer, But, we got to witness a lot of crazy stuff. And the way Barney worked, you could be there for 16 hours in a day. I mean, you could be sitting on the stage waiting for 4 hours for the next page of script. I mean, that was not uncommon, because we would come in on, if I remember right, I think we came in and you would do table readings, then you would do like blockings, and then you would do dress rehearsals and then recordings, actual lay-to tape. So, they were long days, plenty of overtime, making good money, and enjoying everybody who was there. I mean, they were all, good people, and it was a wonderful show. I mean, it was always one of my favorite TV shows. And we, actually got them at one point to let us, the pages that were on the show, the PAs, put our names on the roster board, where the detectives signed in and signed out. And there is an episode where there's one shot where, real quick, where somebody's at that and they shoot it and you can see it. And it goes by really fast, but it's there. And my wife actually has that recorded and saved. So, just for posterity, that yes, indeed, it's there. We got it there, So, for whatever it's worth, that was that. But, I mean, that whole experience during those shows, I mean, some of the things that occurred, I mean, the Native Americans that would come down to see Wojo, and you would just, the smell of the pot coming down the hall was just overwhelming, and nobody ever said anything. Nobody gave a crap, Then we got a call from the security guys one day freaking out. There's this whole bunch of bums out here saying they're supposed to be on your show. And we go out there and we're like, yeah, they are. Because we were doing a 2-part show where a bunch of, homeless bums were being kidnapped and taken to, South Carolina or something. So all these guys that they hired to play these bums came pre-dressed, their own makeup and wardrobe done. It was just the funniest thing to see all these guys standing out at the gate to get into the lot, It was just so funny. And it was also nice because Barney was on the soundstage next to Soap. So you got to kind of, at break times, go over and pop in and see what was going on at Soap, because that was just a crazy, crazy stage. And, you never knew what the heck was going to be happening over in Soap World. So, it was just a wonderful, wonderful period. We learned a lot. We did a lot. And there's more to it than that. But I'll get into those in separate little stories. So, because that's a hinge pin that moves me substantially forward at that moment. So, getting on the Barney stage was just this series of events that, got me to a place that led me even further on, as you will see. So, very interesting, and just one of those things about the way life works. Peace. Hang 10.